stocks finished mixed on Friday but ended the week up, as favorable results from JPMorgan and Wells Fargo seem to have lifted their stocks. JPMorgan and Wells Fargo continue to make lots of money from the consumer loans even while deposit costs rise. But Citigroup was excluded from the party because the bank's Wall Street unit showed significant weakness. Up next week will be Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Perhaps they'll run into similar challenges. Meanwhile, consumer confidence in the U.S. economy just increased to the highest level since September 2021. A July reading of the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index showed an increase from the prior month, which also marks the fastest increase since December of 2005. Perhaps someone can tell Disney that things are magical. What they don't tell you, though, is that in order to get to this wonderful increase, we had to come from the lowest level we've had in about 20 years. In other words, we're essentially back to where we had the stay-at-home orders during the pandemic. Yeah, everything is just awesome. We're going to stretch things out a bit, looking here at the 4-year weekly chart on the SPY, the spiders, and the close on Friday was 449.28. And up here you can see that we continue to move up and down through this channel, the bottom channel line here, and the top channel line at this point here. Now, we're near the top channel line, and I think we continue to ride that as long as we don't get anything significantly negative or positive. We don't have enough power to move up and through the top channel line, in my opinion, but we could just volatility-wise come back to that bottom channel line and then reflect back on up. At least that's the strongest possibility that I see at this point here. Now, looking at the chart, you can see that from this point here in low 2020, we moved on up and we had one heck of a channel line moving up through here, top and bottom, up to that point that lasted about a year and a half. Is this going to last a year and a half? I don't think so, but I do think we will last at least a few weeks, if not more, longer. I also think we may challenge that previous record high at this level here. We'll see. Moving on down here, volume looks fine. Into the MACD. The MACD also looks fine. Nice bottoming and basing, and then moving on up. And it looks here that the slow line and the fast line are gaining strength, but there is no huge increase in the strength of this particular oscillator, but it looks like it's just continuing on up. Now, go back here once again. Once we crossed over that 10 level, we were up here for just over a year. So once again, we can elevate and we can hang up there for a while. A year, I think, is not really in the cards, but for the next few weeks, perhaps even longer, I think that's a strong possibility. Here into the histogram, you can see it looks pretty good. We're moving on up and continue on up, not really significantly strong, but strong enough to keep the price chart moving on up. Same thing here in the price rate of change. From this bottom, we continue to move on up, gaining strength. Same as the relative strength index, a moderate 74.38, and things just continue to cook along. We're not in that overbought territory yet. That's when things can overheat. So I think this particular rally continues. Same thing with the stochastics. We are in that overbought territory, but as you can see back here, 2021, we stayed up there. We were elevated for quite a long while. We can do that again. Down into the Williams. The Williams is pretty much the same as the stochastics. We can stay in this overbought territory for a long while, and I think there's enough strength to do that. Moving back up here to the price chart, I think it's pretty much a boring read, other than the fact that your stocks are probably increasing in price. Now, not every indice is looking as well as the S&P 500. The Russell 2000 doesn't look as good. We'll take a look at that perhaps in the near future. But for now, those stocks in the S&P 500 are cooking along strong enough to stay in an uptrend. At least that is my opinion of the greatest probability. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.